Shauna Craib, owner of Craib Accounting, has been running her accounting firm for 8 years now. Elle Pierce, owner of Pierce Systems, has been running her marketing agency for 2 years. They're at different places in their small business journeys, and they're having unfiltered conversations about what it's really like to be a small business owner. Grab your coffee and join your new small business besties.
Scope creep, we talked about
Yeah.
discounts, people wanting discounts right off the
Mhm.
bat. What else, Shauna?
I also think another one for me is when a client comes on and they're kind of like bad mouthing their other previous accountant or, a client or vendor or something like that. It just makes me feel like, okay, I could be next. I mean,
Yeah.
why are you talk? I mean, my thing is once I'm done with a relationship, I move on. Like, it's the past. Let's move on. I take whatever lessons I need to take from that and I move on. I don't need to talk about it. I don't need to discuss it with anybody. I just move on. But when they come in and they're like, yeah, my accountant screwed up and they did this and they did that, and everything is about what the accountant did or didn't do versus what was your role in that? Because, we just touched on your slow communication, right? And you not responding to deadlines. And so could that be that you as the owner wasn't communicating and responding in a timely manner to deadlines, which caused your accountant to have missed deadlines and just running into problems. And now those problems creeped up into your life. And now you're bad mouthing them as if it's their fault when really it's kind of you contributed to that. And so the minute you start bad mouthing someone, I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear this. And I've had this happen to me. Clients come in and they're like complaining about the accountant, and I've email them back and say, you know what, at this time we will not be working with you. You're just not a good fit for a firm. Your business is not a good fit for us. And
Before
so
you
we kind
even
of let
work
you
with
down.
them. Sorry. Before you even work with them,
Oh yeah.
you'll cut them off.
Yeah, because like I mentioned earlier, we do like a discovery phone call, right? To kind of like figure out, who you are, what kind of business you have, all the things that you need to be done and so forth, so forth. And so the minute you come in and you just come in guns blazing and start bad mouthing your accountant and they didn't do this and you wanted this and you wanted that and they didn't do it, that tells me, okay, you're gonna probably do the same thing to us or you're going to be very difficult to work with. And so once I let them know, okay, we'll follow up with you. And then when we do that, I'll send them an email saying, I'm sorry, but at this time, your business is not a good fit for a firm.
Yeah. You know what
Yeah.
that makes me think of? That makes me think of when you're dating and you go on a first date with someone and all they do is badmouth their ex. Like they don't get a second date. And in the
Yeah.
corporate world, when I've had managers who badmouth like the person who was in that role before me, and then ultimately the same
Mhm.
thing happens to me. And so at the end of the day, they're probably not the best manager. So take that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it goes in everywhere. Even if you're an employee at a company and your supervisor is bad mouthing another employee to you or a past employee that left whose role you're filling, do you really want to work there? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you
Do
don't.
you know, I had this one boss one time who bragged about firing someone when they went on vacation, who bragged about firing a previous employee while she was on vacation. And then I worked for them for, it was like 9 months. I worked for them really hard. And then I took my first vacation. And what did they do? They logged me out of everything while I was on vacation. Like that was their MO. So I guess they had this thing about not wanting to pay people on vacation and just firing them instead. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Red
it's rough
flag.
out there.
All right, Elle. So another big one for me, and especially, and I kind of briefly touched on this earlier, but when clients come and they will say, oh yeah, I have something I need you guys to do, but it should be pretty easy. This shouldn't take you but 10 minutes. Sir, how do you know how long this is going to take me, sir?
Well, why didn't you just do it then?
That just gets under my skin. Don't tell me that it should be easy because if it was, you wouldn't be calling me, right?
Right.
And then they're
Absolutely.
like, oh, it shouldn't cost more than this amount of dollars, or it shouldn't take you that much time. So when that happens, again, red flag. When that happens, I politely say, well, my go-to were my go-to statement is telling them, sorry, but your business is not a good fit for us at this time. Or I like to always tell some of them, we're at capacity right now, so we
Oh,
can't
that's a
take on
good
any more
one.
clients. Um,
We're at
and
capacity.
again, we even though we may need the money, because I always say a dollar is better than $0, but is the headache that comes with that client worth that dollar?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, don't tell me anything should be easy. You don't
Yeah,
know. You don't know what, how this works.
right. At the end of the day, we left our corporate jobs to open small businesses for a better work experience, right? And that's not going to come with difficult clients, especially since I was working for agencies before I opened my business and I was doing client management there. And now I'm doing client management. What would be the difference if I just took on all of these challenging clients? And so I feel like in my experience, after working at different companies throughout my career, that the smaller they've been, the more work and more challenging they've been also. So my goal has always been not to go small, but to go as big as possible and offer, a lot of value to those larger companies versus looking for just a bunch of small accounts because those ones are the ones I've experienced want the world. They expect more because, and I get it, the dollar that they're spending on you means more to them because they have fewer funds. So that's why they expect more. But these larger businesses, they have these extra
Yeah.
funds. They have all of these employees that aren't necessarily the owner who doesn't feel the pain of that dollar coming from their pocket.
Right, right. And I'm glad you touched on that too, because I also find that the smaller clients, they want to pay the less, but they demand the most.
Exactly.
I've had a client one time that would literally call me on a weekend, or even at nights when I'm trying to have dinner with my family, calling to sit and go through financials. And I mean, 7, 8 o'clock at night, running an hour and a half to yeah, I had to put, and that was when I first started out the business. We talked about, you wanting to hit the ground running, you wanted to get clients in. And so that was a mistake I made earlier on, just trying to please every client and realize real fast that, yeah, that cannot, there's boundaries. You have to set boundaries.
To be.
And so
Absolutely.
yeah, they want to pay, smaller clients want to pay the least amount of money, but they demand the most. And like you said, they have a lot less money to work with. So every dollar matters to them. Know your, like, now we don't take on really too much real small clients. You have to be mid-sized to larger clients, and we have a dollar range of clients. So again, if a client comes and we ask them, what's your annual revenue? And if their annual revenue doesn't hit the minimum that we work with, we just say, sorry, you know, your company's not a good fit for us at this time. Because if you're making $20,000 a year as a small business, well, that doesn't fit or mold. It won't work for us because one, you won't have the funds to pay us. And two, you will demand a lot more than we can give to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's where pricing as a small business owner makes a difference, right? You don't want to charge too much, but you want to charge enough so that so that you're really, showing your value and
Yeah.
you're getting what you deserve from your value that you're bringing to them. And you're pricing out people who don't really qualify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have two more items that I want to touch on
You
before
do?
we wrap up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so we're going along. I have a lot of red flags. I've experienced so much in the last 8 years that we will be here all day. But another thing too that I think this would go for just about any business, really small or large. Especially now we're talking about small businesses, but you'll have those clients who they want to pay after they see the results. That doesn't always work. For example, we might have a client that come and, they've been doing their own bookkeeping for years, and then they'll come with a mess and they're like, oh yeah, I need you guys to fix this. But I want to pay you guys after the work is done and I'm satisfied with the results. Well, you're never going to be satisfied. We're not going to trust you to be satisfied, because even if you are satisfied, you may just say you're not just because you don't want to pay. So I never allow clients to say, we'll pay after the work is done. That early on when we just started, we work a good 30 days. And at the end of the month, you send your invoice and you wait to get paid. And then you wait 15 days, 20 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days before you get paid. Yeah, we cut that out a long time ago. So every client we have, you pay at the start of the month. So on the first of the month, we ACH your account, we get our money, and then we do the work. Now, if your money don't hit our account at the first of the month, well, then your work's not going to get done,
Right.
right?
That's,
Because
I mean, we
yeah,
don't work for free, right?
no, we've been burned early on in the business of allowing clients to pay us after the work is done. So no, you pay up front, and we don't allow you to pay us after the work is done anymore. It's first of the month, you get charged, we start working. Yeah.
So if I'm a new client coming to you starting on the 15th of August, would you charge me on the 15th of August to get started, or am I getting charged on September 1st?
Nope, you get charged on the 15th. So from the 15th of August to the 15th of September is 1 month. Regardless,
Good. I like that.
you're gonna pay before any work is started. Because then, what I always know is, even with anything in life, when there's not a financial component attached to something, you have no skin in the game, right? So if you're doing something for free, or you're going to an event and it's free, chances are you may not go because you didn't spend any money. It didn't cost you anything. There's no pain attached to losing that money. But when you have to pay something and you realize, okay, I'm losing some money on this, oh no, you're going to follow through, right? And so
So true.
we charge you right before any work is started. And so as a small business owner, I think that's where everybody should go. You always want to charge your clients before any work is done, because then they're invested. And once they're invested, they will follow through.
I agree. I agree. Um the only instance where that can't be the case is when you are working with the government.
Yeah.
You do need to wait those 30 days before they'll pay you,
Yeah.
but you are guaranteed to be paid, so
Exactly. And
that's
we
fine.
both worked with the government before, so we both know that they're good for paying. They're not going to tell you they're going to pay you and they don't pay you. Believe me, they have money to pay you. Lots of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, and we compete in the government space. It's brutal competition, but
Right.
the contracts that you win, it's guaranteed to be
Right.
paid for sure.
You'll get your money.
Yeah. Okay, did you
And
have
so,
another red flag?
yeah, my last
Yeah.
red flag, is those clients that come with unrealistic deadlines. And I kind of briefly touched on that, where they just want things done now. There's no, let me give you 24 hours. There's like, everything's a rushed, everything is, I need it now. And so, again, earlier on in our business, we were that company. Everything was now. We turn around things like right now, you drop everything to cater to clients because they want it now. But that causes burnout, right? And it forces burnout, and it causes you to produce rush work with errors. And in our field, you can't have errors with financials, really. It's tough when you are presenting financials to clients and there's errors, and then they come back to you and be like, this is wrong. Then you look incompetent, right? Because this is your job and you should know what you're doing. And so having those clients with unrealistic deadlines is usually a red flag. I try to stay away from them. And when we sign clients, and this is something that we always do, is we, in our engagement agreement and even in our onboarding of those clients, we let you know that emails are answered within 24 hours. It doesn't mean the minute you send it, you're going to get a response immediately. No, it means within a 24-hour window, we will get back to you. Now, granted, if my inbox is low and I don't have much in there and somebody sends me an email and I have the time, I will respond immediately and take care of it immediately because we have the bandwidth. But it's not an expectation. And we highlight that in our agreement, and we highlight that in our onboarding to let you know everything is a 24-hour turnaround. It's not an immediate thing. So don't come with your unrealistic deadlines and expect us to drop everything. Recently, I had a client, and this is one of those clients that she's kind of borderline okay, but borderline I pay little, but I want a lot. So she's kind of like in the middle, depending on the day of the week and how she's feeling. So she was going on vacation, and texted me urgently. Oh, I need to talk urgently because I'm going on vacation and I need something done right now. It's urgent. Of course, that day was my birthday, and I have never worked on my birthday ever in my life. I mean, because my birthday is in
And
summer,
you
it's in
shouldn't.
August, right? And so school was always out in August. So I was never in school. So I was always home on my birthday. And then when I got to adulthood and I started working, I followed through. So I never worked on my birthday.
For you.
Doesn't matter what day of the week it falls on. And so she texted me on my birthday. Granted, she didn't know it was my birthday, but she texted me, wanted me to drop, to meet with her right now because she's traveling and this has to get done right now. So I texted her back. I said, unfortunately, I am not able to meet with you right now. Feel free to send me an email and I will take care of it tomorrow morning. And the next day, I checked my email and it was not that urgent. It was sending an invoice to one of her clients. It was not that urgent. That invoice was sent out the next day. There was nothing urgent about sending out that invoice.
Oh, and then it's on your mind on your birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And I didn't check my email because I literally disconnected on that Monday. My birthday was on a Monday, and I literally disconnected. And I was like, yeah, I am not doing anything that day. So I'm sorry. And so the next day, I checked my email and I saw it and I was like, okay, I'll go through all my emails. And when I get to that one, then I'll do it. Nothing is urgent. Nothing in life is urgent, at least not for me.
We're not doctors.
Yeah, yeah, we're not in the ER. It's not urgent. Everything can wait. Especially, and last week we talked about what? We talked about your mental sanity, right?
Yes, you have to
So
set
nothing
these
is urgent.
boundaries.
Setting
Absolutely.
boundaries and having your mental energy and space. So nothing is urgent for me. It's a 24-hour turnaround time. So again, don't come with your unrealistic deadlines. It's not going to get done anyways. You're just wasting your time.
I agree. And if you want to have a long-term positive relationship with your client, you have to set those boundaries in the beginning because you're setting those expectations and they're not going to change. Like any
Yes,
other relationship, you're setting those expectations for the future.
exactly. I'm training you how to treat me, right?
Exactly.
And we don't answer emails immediately. It's a 24-hour window. If we answer before that, good luck for you. Good luck. Today's a great day for you. Other than that, it's a 24-hour window and you're just going to have to wait.
That was a huge lesson I had to learn in like being so busy when I was working my corporate jobs. Some days I would go in and all of my work would be done out of my inbox. I would be living in my inbox and never get out of it to do the actual projects that I needed to do. And I had to learn to stay out of the inbox and just set aside specific time to go check my emails and prioritize what I needed to do, not what other people wanted me to do. That's the only way you're going to get results. That's
Yeah.
the only way you're going to keep your job, keep your
Yeah,
business, keep doing
exactly.
what you need to do.
Yeah. And
Great
so,
point, Shauna.
great. Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like, you know, to wrap it up, how we should spot and respond to red flags early is like just pause. Something comes, nothing is urgent. Just pause, don't pounce. Take your time.
Yeah. Pause, don't
Ask,
pounce. I
pause,
like that.
don't pounce. Urgency often hides problems. If everything is just urgent, 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 and you're jumping in head first, you won't see the problems that could be lurking, those red flags, and ask specific questions, clarify. Somebody says something. I like to repeat questions people say or statements. Somebody says something and I always say, oh, let me repeat what you're saying just for my own understanding. And I'll repeat what I heard and they'll say, okay, yes, or no, that's not what I meant. And so again, ask and test for clarification and communication, right? And you want
Over
to stick to
communicate.
your, right, over communicate. You want to stick to your process. Again, don't drop your contracts. Don't just say, oh, because I feel like you're a nice person, skip signing my contract. Or, you normally take a deposit and you're like, okay, you know what? I'll just skip it this time because, we hit it off talking. So I'm just going to bypass you putting the deposit down. You want to stick with your process. And lastly, you want to say no confidently. You know, decline
Yes.
bad clients. For every one bad client, there's probably 3 good ones out there. So don't be afraid to say no. Practice saying no in the mirror if you have to. it'll just roll off your tongue when you get used to
No is a full sentence.
it. I love that. No is a full sentence. I love that. Yeah, early in my life, not even just in my career, but in just my life in general, I had a hard time saying no. I just say yes because I was just want to make everybody happy. And many, many years ago, I learned and trained myself how to say no. And I will tell you no and don't even feel bad. Like, no. And I have a friend right now who she does not say no. She has like 50 jobs because everybody comes to her and say, "Oh, can you sign up for this? Can you do that?" She's on 100 boards of companies and stuff. And where do you find time for yourself? And she always says, "Oh, I just don't know how to say no." So I've been training her how to say no. I
Yeah.
mean, slow but
It
steady, we're getting there.
good.
We're getting
Good. It's
there.
an important skill. I
It's
think
an
especially
important skill.
women. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, for women, like you said, for women, we have to learn how to say no because we take on way too much. Way too much. Yeah.
We do. Setting
Yeah.
boundaries as
So
women is important in business.
yeah. So any closing takeaways for this, Elle? Do you have
I
your final thoughts?
feel like that's a good one. Learn to say no.
Learn to say no.
Prioritize your own time, your
Yeah.
value
Yeah. Yeah.
yourself, and others will value you too.
Yes. And for me, like every bad client leaves you a choice, and the choice is you learn the lesson or you repeat the lesson. So which one are you going to choose?
I like that. Learn the lesson or repeat the lesson. All right.
Right. Yeah. And I've learned a lot of lessons, and some of them I have not repeated, and I'm holding strong to that.
Good for you. Great. Great episode, Shauna. Thank you so much for sharing all of those points from your 8 years in business. It's very
Yes.
valuable.
It's been a pleasure. And I hope our listeners learn from that, from those mistakes and those red flags, and don't carry those. You have a choice.
All right. See you
Absolutely.
next week on Brandon Bank.
All right, guys, take care. Bye.